Rain, hail, and tornadoes possible? Find out who is in a severe thunderstorm right now. Plus, flu season ramps up on campus. What you need to know to protect yourself. And another Capitol rioter sentenced to jail time will tell you how much time he'll do. This is OU Nightly. Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Katie Arata.
And I'm Mecca Thompson. We begin tonight with most of central Oklahoma under a severe thunderstorm watch.
And the OU Nightly weather team is tracking it. Let's head over to meteorologist Liberta. Catherine, things could get a bit bumpy tonight.
That's right, Katie. We are currently under a slight risk for severe weather here in Norman. That also includes Oklahoma City and the Tulsa metro areas. Now, this slight risk for severe weather does mean that we could see some damaging winds, damaging hail, and even the possibility of some tornadoes. But looking at our live radar right now, like you said, most of central Oklahoma is under a watch for severe thunderstorms. Now, this storm system right here, just north of Oklahoma City, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. And we are going to time out these storms a little bit later, but I'm going to toss it right now to Mikayla Smith, who is outside. Mikayla, what's it looking like out there?
Yeah, it's dry out here currently right now in Norman, but like you mentioned, Catherine, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 p.m. tonight. We do have our first severe thunderstorm warning of the day. It's about to impact Guthrie, so we are going to be keeping an eye on that and monitoring these storms as they move their way into the Oklahoma City Norman area later on tonight. Catherine's going to have that timing, though, of when we could possibly see those storms here in Norman, when that rain's going to start falling, and what kind of severe weather impacts we're going to see with these storms. Catherine?
Thanks, Mikayla. And like I said, we are going to time out these storms here in Norman. We should start to see some severe weather between 5 and 8 o'clock. Now, this is going to be during dinner time. If you're making your way home from work, you could possibly be impacted by these storms. But then as these storms move into the eastern part of the state, we are going to start to see those severe storms later. Now, if we are going to look towards the rest of the newscast, I'm going to give you where we are seeing those watches and warnings, what type of severe storm hail we could see, and if there is a possibility for some flooding here in Norman tonight. Ladies.
And with the threat of hail, if you're thinking about parking your car in a garage on campus tonight, make sure you do so legally. Each time severe storms hit Norman, students park illegally in campus garages. Vehicle repairs can be expensive, and so many feel it's worth risking a parking ticket.
I'll just take my chances and park my car where it is now. There's actually another car in front of me, and that space where my car is in was left open. So I just decided to maneuver my way in there and park across from them. So me and that car made our own little parking spots right there.
Even though those vehicles may be safe from the weather, they're at risk of damage when too many people park so close. Students saw cars with scratched paint and torn off bumpers after previous storms. Cars can also be covered with towels, blankets, or tarps to protect from damage.
The Oklahoma Supreme Court reversed a $465 million ruling against opioid manufacturer Johnson & Johnson yesterday. OU Nightly's Elise Jones spoke to a local father who lost his son to an accidental opioid overdose.
Austin Box suited up on Saturdays and took the field for the Sooners, but many were unaware of the internal battle he faced with opioids.
From a personal standpoint, I know my son, he was a football player. He was well-liked, gregarious, outgoing. He was confident but not cocky. But I know him well, and I know that he felt that he found something that relieved the pain, and he didn't think of the consequences.
Box unexpectedly passed away on May 19th, 2011. His parents then started the Austin Box 12 Foundation.
We thought, we need to do something to where no family has to suffer this heartache. And at the same time, we were learning more and more about this crisis. There were more deaths. It was becoming more publicized. And so the foundation was created really with a goal in mind to keep Austin's memory alive, at the same time try to educate parents and students of the dangers of opioids and the easy accessibility of them.
While yesterday's decision disappoints the Box family, they hope students learn from Austin's story.
You're not bulletproof. Whether it's Adderall or opioids, anything that I know students have easy access to. I mean, it's every parent's nightmare because you can't be there like they're 5 years old again. They got to grow up. They got to make mistakes. I get all that.
The Bach family's work at the foundation will continue, and Oklahoma Attorney General John O'Connor said the state will continue to explore options regarding the new ruling.
Another person has been sentenced as a result of the January 6th Capitol riots. Summer Miller has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thanks, Mecca. A former MMA fighter was sentenced today in connection to the January 6th U.S. riot. Scott Fairlamb is facing more than 3 years in federal prison after video footage shows him punching a police officer during the attack. He pled guilty in August to assaulting an officer and obstructing an official proceeding. This makes him the first rioter to be sentenced for violence against the police in connection to the January 6th attack. Fairlamb has been in jail since late January and will get credit for time served. Kyle Rittenhouse is testifying in his own defense today in court. Rittenhouse is being charged with 5 felonies, including first-degree intentional homicide, after the shooting death of 2 men during a protest in Kenosha last year, following the death of Jacob Blake. In an emotional testimony earlier today, Rittenhouse recalled the moments leading up to him shooting and killing Joseph Rosenbaum. The judge called for a recess to give him time to compose himself before continuing the testimony. Rittenhouse pled not guilty and is claiming self-defense. And a tax rule change going into effect in January may impact Venmo and PayPal users. Back to you guys.
And Oklahoma celebrates Women in Aviation Day.
Find out how the state celebrated this memorable day and who was honored coming up.
Plus, severe storms are already firing up.
The OU Nightly weather team is tracking them and will bring you the very latest coming up. We are tracking severe weather across the state right now.
Let's get over to OU Nightly's weather team. Catherine, storms are popping near Guthrie right now.
That's right, Katie. We are currently looking at a storm system just north of Oklahoma City in the Guthrie area. We are hearing reports of golf ball sized hail, I'm going to toss it over to Colton Williams, who was driving up to Stillwater and stopped on the side of the road to take a look at this storm. Colton, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Catherine. So we are sitting on I-35 northbound just south of Highway 50. West here off towards Mulhall. There's heavy bands of rain. It's moving towards the east now, coming in, and continuing to move eastward. The storm system now produced golf ball-sized hail. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. They're going to continue eastward. We're going to go back to Catherine Liberta in the studio, who's going to have all the latest on the storm system moving in. Catherine, back to you.
Thanks, Colton. And yeah, we're going to have more on this storm system as it moves throughout the state and throughout the newscast. But you're going to want to stick around because we're going to have all of the updates on the severe weather here in Norman tonight and this storm system just north of Oklahoma City. Ladies.
Oklahoma is the first in the nation to celebrate the achievements of women in aviation. A special luncheon was held at Will Rogers Airport. Shannon Ehrhardt was there and caught up with the keynote speaker at this memorable event.
I'm here at Will Rogers Airport, just outside the Aircraft Services Center, where a space pioneer returns to Oklahoma to remind women that if they dream it, they can achieve it.
I did it on my own.
Wally Funk is the oldest woman to go into space, and she certainly wants to make sure she's not the last.
They need to get up there and fly, but they probably don't have a person in their family to say, come on, go fly.
At the annual Women in Aviation and Aerospace Day luncheon, AAR honored Funk's aviation career as the keynote speaker for women involved in Oklahoma's aerospace industries.
Women We're an underrepresented population in aviation and aerospace, and I think this really brings a lot of attention to that fact, and hopefully will attract a lot of younger women.
This is a wonderful opportunity to just get together and to celebrate all of the women that helped to pave the way for all of us in the industry. I think it's amazing that she's still here to be able to relay that to us in person, and that we're still able to use her as a mentor.
When you want to do something fantastic in this world today.
The 82-year-old Oklahoma State grad is still here on Earth, but she said her experience was out of this world.
What was that emotion like stepping off of the aircraft?
Oh, well, you saw me. I loved it. I want to go back up. My brain was sore.
In year 5 of this event, this is the biggest turnout yet with over 600 people. From Will Rogers Airport, Shannon Ehrhardt, OU Nightly.
Anyone interested in learning more about Oklahomans in space can visit a permanent exhibit located at the Oklahoma History Center in Oklahoma City. And we've got an eye on the skies tonight. Catherine, you're already tracking severe weather?
That's right, Katie. We don't have any severe weather in Norman just yet, but the atmospheric conditions are looking very interesting. You're going to want to stick around because weather is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Oklahoma City right now, we can see lots of cloud cover. The sun is starting to set because we are in daylight savings time now, but we are having some pretty interesting conditions right now. Dew points are fairly high and they're continuing to rise, which is setting up for some severe weather later this evening. But right now we have got this cold front that is pushing through, and that is what's bringing that severe weather into our area. But we've got those northerly winds. Look at the panhandle, very strong winds out there. Dew points, like I said, continuing to rise in the central Oklahoma area. But our current temperatures right now, fairly normal in Norman and Oklahoma City. Temperatures in the mid-60s, and that's the case for most of the state. We've got temperatures in the mid-60s. Lawton, a bit warmer than the rest of the state, and that is why they are going to start seeing some severe weather before the rest of us. But looking at our watches and warnings right now, we've got severe weather across most of the central part of Oklahoma. The Storm Prediction Center has us here in Norman and Oklahoma City in a slight risk for severe weather. So we are going to be seeing some very damaging hail, very damaging winds, and the possibility for a tornado or two. Looking at that tornado zone here in Norman, we are just on the edge of it. We don't have as much of a risk for tornadoes as we do for hail. Now, this darker area right here, that is that significant hail region. So here in Norman and Oklahoma City, we could see hail up to golf ball size. So that is still going to be very damaging, and we're also going to have very damaging winds along with those storms. Now, let's time it out. The storms have started to reach the western parts of the state. They are moving mostly through Enid. That was that storm that we showed you earlier in the newscast. But here in Norman, we should start to see those storms move through around 6, 7 o'clock, and then those storms are going to continue to move into the eastern parts of the state later tonight. But looking at that radar forecast, like I said, this is 6 o'clock. So this storm system right down here just north of Lawton, that is where we have the greatest risk for some possible tornadoes. But then as this moves throughout the night, right around 8 o'clock is when we could start to see those severe storms impact us here in Norman and the Oklahoma City area. And then as it moves out into the eastern part of the state, it's going to drop that severe weather risk and just be some severe thunderstorms. Now, looking at the future rainfall, we aren't going to be too concerned with flooding because these storms should be moving through fairly quick. But our biggest threat is going to be wind and hail. Now, these are going to cause the most amount of damages, and if we look at our evening forecast, we're going to continue to cool down, but we are still pretty warm for us here in the metro. And then looking at our lows and highs tomorrow, fairly consistent. And then looking at our 7-day forecast, Saturday, we have that Baylor game down in Waco, but here in Norman, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Ladies.
Thanks, Catherine.
The Sooners are coming off the bye week and heading to Waco for their matchup with the Baylor Bears. Nirali, how are the Sooners looking?
The Sooners are getting healthy after this bye week and are gearing up for their first test of Championship November. But on the hardwood, the men's basketball team kicked off their season last night. Stay tuned for how it went. Sports is next. Hi, I'm Niriali Jayswal, and it's time for sports. Georgia remains on top of the college football playoff rankings, but Sooner fans are angry because OU is number 8 for the second straight week. Following Georgia are Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State, 3 teams who all have a loss. Meanwhile, the Sooners didn't make up any ground despite the fact that they have the nation's longest winning streak. Now they're coming off a bye week. The Sooners will take on the Baylor Bears this Saturday in Waco. The OU offense has been in high gear since Caleb Williams took over midway through the Texas game. They have put up 50 or more in 3 of their last 4 games. Baylor dropped a tough one against TCU last Saturday. The Sooners feel confident that they're hitting their stride heading into Championship November.
I think we've definitely made our strides in the last 4 weeks. You can kind of see where the offense is going. You can kind of see that we're coming into our own, kind of needing that bye week, coming into our own, ready to go into Championship November. I think we're playing well, and our best ball is ahead of us.
OU men's basketball came with a win in their season opener last night. Sooners head coach Porter Moser won his debut for Oklahoma against Northwestern State, winning 77-59. Tanner Groves had 15 points and 9 rebounds in his first game with the Sooners. Jalen Hill is one of 4 Sooners to come back this season and scored 15 points to help the Sooners pick up the win.
You know, like, it's good to get the first one under your belt. I thought there were moments where we did a lot of good things, and there's going to be a lot of teaching moments. But you got to find a balance. You know, my mind's racing to all the things we can do better.
The OU women's team also came out with a season opening win last night. They traveled to South Dakota and knocked off the Coyotes. Maddie Williams scored the winning points on a driving basket with 5 seconds left on the clock to seal the 73-71 win.
Mostly has a lot to do with trust. I think that we trust each other in our judgment, both me and Jenny and then the team also trust the 2 of us to be able to make calls and make plays whenever we need to.
And finally, when we think about football celebrations, it's usually a receiver or a running back with a special end zone dance. But check out Akron kicker Corey Smeagol last night after kicking a go-ahead field goal with just over 2 minutes left in the game. He definitely has ice water in those veins. I wonder if OU's Gabe Burkich was checking this out. Wouldn't that be cool if Gabe started doing that? Ladies, what do you think?
Yes, that would be so cool. Thanks, Nirali. There is officially 45 days until Christmas, but who's counting, right?
I definitely am. I already put up my decorations, and it looks like the city of Norman is following my lead.
Update desk. Inflation prices have reached a 3-decade high. Over the last year, prices have gone up 6.2%. President Biden said today that inflation hurts Americans' pocketbooks and reversing the trend is a top priority for him. Back to you in the studio.
While Thanksgiving is only 15 days away, the city of Norman is already gearing up for Christmas.
Parks and Recreation employees have started setting up all around town. Wreaths line Main Street from I-35 all the way to Legacy Trail.
You can also find decorations at Legacy Park, City Hall, and the police department. The final touches are happening as we speak, and all the Christmas decorations will be lit up around town tonight.
And we do have a threat of severe weather tonight.
Meteorologist Catherine Liberta is watching it for us. Catherine?
That's right. I want to take one more look at that severe weather outlook. Like I said, here in Norman, Oklahoma City, the Tulsa metro area, all are under a slight risk for severe weather, and that also includes the southern part of the state. So with this slight risk, we are going to see some severe weather throughout the night, but what our biggest risk is going to be is this hail. Now, here in Norman, Oklahoma City, Ardmore down there, they are at that significant hail risk, and so these areas could see up to golf ball sized hail. But even up in Enid right now, they weren't in that significant risk for some significant hail, but they are having reports of golf ball sized hail. So you're going to want to stick around and keep up to date, with your weather, because these storms could change drastically overnight, ladies.
Well, as the severe weather approaches, we will be wrapping it up here for OU Nightly.
As always, you can keep up with us on our social medias and weekdays live at 4:30. Have a safe evening and stay weather aware.